All right, guys. Good afternoon. Welcome to the next edition of Techfall Tabletalks. I'm your host, Julius Grit. So, this episode, like I said before on Instagram, this is going to be the Eastern States review. I'm going to talk about the NYC wrestlers that placed at the Eastern States tournament last weekend. I'm only going to cover 5 wrestlers, right? I know there were more that placed, but I'm only going to cover 5. Those 5 are going to be Kyle Jacobs, Christian Solano, Tristan Levin, Amir Avizov, and Evan Gersoy, the champ. He wound up winning Eastern States. Dash Hort, Ziko Majidov, and Tamir Beg Sultan, they all placed as well. I'm going to talk about them first really quick as like the honorable mentions, and then I'm going to get into the review. Just real quick, I'm going to run through the placements, and then I'm going to get in detail of how they did, the match breakdowns and such, and how I'm going to layer out this review rather. So Kyle Jacobs, 160-pounder from Farrell, he took 8th. Christian Solano, 215 from Eagle, 6th. Tristan Levin, 108 pounds, Tottenville, 6th. Amir Avizov, 138 pounds, Madison, 4th place. Evan Gersoy, 116 pounds, Midwood, he won it. He won the tournament. So here are the honorable mentions real quick. Dash Hort, 160 pounds from Poly Prep. He took 4th place. He upset the 4th seed as a 12th seed. That is a very big deal. At a big tournament like this, usually coaches would say it and all that, seeds are only seeds, right? High-level wrestlers say it, seeds are only seeds. We see upsets all the time, especially in recent years in wrestling at all levels. But, hey, if there's a number next to your name, whether it's a seed or if it's a rank, overall ranking, it's not there for no reason. Same thing if you guys watch like the UFC. The guys that have numbers next to your names, it's not there for no reason. You obviously have to earn that, and even more so with like MMA, just as an example, not trying to get off track, but, they're fighting each other. So, I mean, you could clearly see that they earn the number next to their name. Sometimes the rankings and such, Flow might rank it this way, Intermat might rank somebody that way, but I mean, even still, the guys are competing against each other, they're wrestling against each other. So if you're beating a bunch of guys, or if you have a better record than most, or if you're beating certain people that did certain things in a prior season, like a returning qualifier, returning champ or whatever, then you earn that number next to your name, whatever number that is. So it's a pretty big deal with these low seed guys being these top seeds at a big tournament like this. Ziko Majidov, his teammate, 131 pounds, also from Poly Prep, 5th place. He upset the 2nd seed as the 12th seed. That's very good. Now, obviously, even you could see it here, just because you beat the 2nd seed doesn't mean you're going to take 2nd. Just because you're ranked or seeded a certain number going into a tournament doesn't mean that's what you're going to take. The ranking and the seed doesn't equal what your placement's going to be. It's just a prediction that, okay, the 2 seed and the 1 seed should see each other in the finals. It usually doesn't work that way. We all know that. Still a great accomplishment. Poly Prep's a great spot. They have a long lineage and positive history. Guys like David Berkovich, Lenny Merkin, Vito Smoliak, people like that came through Poly Prep and they did some cool things. And Lenny right now is still killing it on the freestyle and Greco scene. So, they got a good history at Poly Prep. And then we have Tamir Beg Sultan, 160-pounder from Brooklyn Tech. He took 6th place as a second-year wrestler. This is his 2nd year wrestling. He took 6th place at the Eastern States tournament. That's a big deal. That's a very big deal because this isn't some regular tournament. It's not a tournament that's only big in one specific spot. No, this is the Eastern States tournament. So you got some very good guys from Pennsylvania, Jersey, New York. I saw some Florida guys in there this time around. Usually you'll get very good guys, returning state champs, future state champs, returning All-Americans. We have one here in Amir Avizov, actually, and we'll get to him later. But, you'll get high-level guys in this tournament. It's always been a prestigious tournament, and for him only being in his 2nd year wrestling, that's a testament to how good the program at Brooklyn Tech is. They're always consistent. Coach Abe is a very good coach, and they always have a good team on them. So Tamir is in good hands out there at Brooklyn Tech. And I saw a comment from Alex Semenenko, NYC alumni. He was a state finalist. He won Fargo. He's wrestling at Brown University. So quick shout out to him. But he had mentioned in a comment on a post that Tamir is a high-level judo wrestler. Player, because, judo's in the Olympics, so you could kind of say judo player. And that comes into play because that's what Alex is. Alex is a high-level judo guy, and he did very well in high school wrestling, and he's at the Division I level starting, so I guess it's a testament to that. If you have a high-level grappling background, it's not like that with everyone, but usually if you have a high-level grappling background and you go into wrestling, you can catch on a little bit quicker than most in some cases. It's not always like that, but in some cases, some people can catch on more quickly than others. Coming in with a high-level background, then, rather than someone coming into wrestling with no grappling experience at all and having to learn everything from scratch, right? So that's how he was able to do as well as he did as a second-year wrestler. Just want to really take time to explain that. So I'm going to get into the matches now. And for Evan Grissoy, I'm going to get into all of his matches. For everybody else, I looked at one match in the middle. You'll know when I get to them specifically what match it is. And then I'm going to get to their placement match. And with Christian Solano, I actually did 3 matches for him because, unfortunately, he got hurt during the tournament. So, they didn't show it on camera, obviously, really. But looking at the brackets, I saw that he had a couple of medical forfeits. But he wound up getting 6th place. So he wrestled well enough during the tournament and got further enough in the tournament to where he could still end up on the podium. And so that's how that happened. And he wound up ending off with some medical forfeits. But the matches he did have were very good. So I'm going to talk about those when we get there. So for right now, we're going to start Evan Grissoy. The round of 32 versus Vinny DeSico, Levittown, Davidson. That's where his school is at. So first period, good hand fighting. Nice single to a double for a quick takedown. Evan had a tough time getting back points. They go out of bounds and reset with Evan on top. This kid is strong on bottom. Evan gets a point for stalling. So the referee called his opponent for stalling. Then Evan got a point. Just want to make that clear. Second period, very nice double from Evan. Evan finally gets back points. He got 3. Third period, Evan chooses bottom and hits a nice Granby roll to get on top. Evan gets 3 more back points. Evan wins by Techfall, 16-0. Round of 16, Gregory Walpole from Long Beach. Those of us in New York, man, we all know Long Beach. First period, Evan goes for a dump but gets stuffed. Then fights up to a very nice high crotch and secures the first takedown. Walpole tried to explode up, but Evan shut that down real quick. Stalemate. Evan almost got stuck on his back from a mat return, but he recovers. The referee resets him again after another stalemate. Second period. Evan got to a sweep single, but had to fight hard to get that takedown. Evan rides for a bit, then they reset. This Walpole kid is extremely explosive. If you guys go look at that match, you see what I'm talking about. Like the sense of urgency on bottom to get out. Like he's just, as soon as the whistle blew, both of them were at the edge of the mat already. Like, this kid was very explosive. He really was trying to get out. He had a sense of urgency. Evan tilts him and gets backs to end the period. Third period. Walpole tried to cut him, but Evan went for a high cross instead, which initiated a scramble. Evan won the scramble and got 2. He tilts, he scores. Evan got some more back points with less than 30 seconds left in the match. Evan then won the match 15-0 by Techfall with 1 second remaining. Quarterfinal versus Carlos Salazar, Hewlett. Period. Evan attempts a low single. Carlos stuffs it. Carlos countered Evan's shot and holds a tight front headlock. They reset with 10 seconds left on the very first period. Second period. Lots of good hand fighting to start. Carlos stuffs a takedown attempt, but then Evan pressures them out of bounds. Very nice down block from Evan. Evan grinds for the first takedown of the match. Evan gets backs to end the period. Third period. Evan escapes from bottom, then chases Carlos to hit a dump and get another takedown. Evan rides his opponent out to the end of the period. Evan wins 6-0. Semifinal versus Christian Pote from Danbury, that's Connecticut. First period, Pote gets the first takedown. They go out of bounds shortly thereafter. Evan escapes from bottom. Evan goes for a single, gets stuffed, then circles out of bounds. Evan hits a single. Evan finishes the single this time to get his first takedown of the match. Second period, Evan hits a standing switch variation from bottom. It was like a little different. It didn't look like a normal switch. He didn't really go under his thigh with the arm, but he did hit like a switch, like he grabbed his ribs kind of, or grabbed his hip rather, or whatever, and then was able to like circle and spin behind him. You'd have to go watch the match to see it. Then they go out of bounds. I think Evan hit his nose. Maybe they collided somehow, but there was blood time for Evan. I saw on camera it was his nose was bleeding. Then they start again, but then, more blood time. Those nosebleeds, they last for a bit. Evan rode his opponent out for the remainder of the period. Third period, Evan gets backs. Evan's opponent pushes him off the mat as the match ends. He was like pushing Evan's headgear. And like pushed him off of him, but hey. His emotions got there, but his opponent. But Evan kept his composure. Didn't get mad or anything. And then Evan wins 8-2. That kid fought hard, but things happen. Finals versus Finnegan, O'Brien, Locust Valley. First period. Both wrestlers are being very tactical. But nothing really happened. Second period. 1 second, guys. Hold on. Tactical difficulties. All right, here we go. We're back. So first period, both wrestlers being very tactical. Nothing much happened. Second period. Nice flurry by both combatants. Nobody scored, but Evan got a point for his opponent stalling. Third period. Evan gets to a single and fights very hard for those 2 points. Evan rides his opponent out to finish the period, 3-0. Evan wins and is the 2024 Eastern States champion. This is a kid that was a returning state finalist. Evan wants that state title. And based on his performance here, I believe that Evan is going to get the state title. This isn't like a predictions episode, but I mean, he's a returning state finalist. He won Eastern States and had tougher matches. Each match got tougher and tougher as the tournament went on. And, if you go and watch these matches I'm talking about, guys, head on the floor and watch these matches, you'll see why I'm saying, Evan should definitely go out and become a New York State champion. The New York City hasn't had a New York State champ since 2019. Was it? Yeah, 2019. We haven't had a state champion since 2019. So I believe that Evan Gersoy will be our next state champion. And hopefully he could start the trend of us getting a state champ every year. Because there's guys in New York that do it. There's spots in New York that do it, And Evan's been training at KD Training Center, so he's gotten to be in the room with PJ Duke. They're a little far in weight, so I don't know if they're rolling around with each other. Maybe they've hand-fought or sparred a little bit. But they're probably not going, really live too much because of the weight difference. But he's at KD's. KD's produced phenomenal wrestlers like PJ Duke, who was in this tournament, who won this tournament. So, Evan Gersoy, he's in good hands. Midwood's a pretty consistent team, and he is a returning state finalist. So I think that Evan Gersoy, from being the AC State champ, he's going to become the New York State champ in February. So up next, Christian Solano from Eagle Academy. And Christian, he placed at states twice. So he placed here. I think he's going to place at states again. He's going to be a 3-time state placer. Where he ends up on the podium, well, let's see. But I know he's going to get back on the podium in Albany. But to get into his matches here, first off, the round of 16 versus Jaden Presley, Minnesink Valley, PJ Duke's teammate. First period, very nice duck under to a single. Transitions to a lat drop for 2 points and 3 back points. Another lat drop for the pin. Easy. Christian Solano got the fall in the first period with a minute and 6 remaining. Next, Conci round of 4 versus Thomas Kellis, Sleepy Hollow. First period, very nice chain wrestling from Christian. Single to a high crotch to a double leg. Christian was very fast for a big guy. 215-pounder. Him and some of the other guys he competed against. Like, these guys are moving fast, honestly. Like, Christian, but, to put the spotlight on Christian, though, he moves very fast for a bigger guy. He moves very fast, and he's very athletic for a bigger guy. That's a big advantage. That's a big advantage right there. Because not a lot of big guys, we're seeing it more now, but usually, even still now, a lot of big guys aren't moving that fast. You go and watch these matches unfold, guys, Christian moves very, very fast for a big guy. He's almost as fast as, like, some of the lighter weight classes, like a 130-something pounder or 140-something pounder. The weight classes changed from when I was in high school. That's why I'm saying 30-something, 40-something. I don't remember the exact weights, the order and stuff now, but because they changed them. But back when I was in high school, it was like 132, 138. That's still there, though, 138, 145, right? So Christian moves like those guys. That's how fast he is. And that speed it came in handy here, and it'll come in handy in Albany. But during this match, you saw it especially. Like, the way he was moving, man. His opponent couldn't keep up with him. But this next match here, though, the Conci round of 4 versus Thomas Kellis, first period, that chain wrestling, right? And then he put him on his back. He got his back points with a good double leg. I think something happened on the landing to where he got hurt. So medical forfeit is how this ended, and that's how his tournament wound up ending. But he made it far enough to still wind up on the podium. Took 6th place. But there was a match right before that, which actually went a while. Conci round of 8 versus Juan Ramos, Freeport. First period, very nice down block by Solano. Again, the speed. He moves like a lightweight. He's a big guy that moves like a lightweight. That's very impressive. Solano hits a single leg for the first takedown at the end of the first period. Second period, Solano escapes, then gets a takedown shortly thereafter. And then Christian almost broke his opponent's neck while he was riding him. It looked kind of scary. You guys got to go check that out. And then injury time for his opponent. Some time went by, and then the match continued, so his opponent's okay. So that's good. Third period, Solano gets taken down. Solano escapes, then gets 2 off of a re-attack. Injury time for Solano this time. But he was all right after that. His opponent reversed him from bottom, but Solano already had a decent lead. Solano wins 8-4, and that was a match before he medically forfeited, but again, he performed well enough and made it far enough to wind up placing 6th at Eastern States. Now we get to Kyle Jacobs, Monsignor Farrell. Conci round of 8 versus Ryan Ross, Port Jervis. First period. Well, I want to say this first. Kyle Jacobs, if you're watching this, I support double knee pads. I support you. So if Matthew Seitz or anybody, right, or your teammates are foul, if they make fun of you sometimes wearing double knee pads, hey, I support it. I'm the double knee pad guy. All throughout high school, double knee pads. Even in college, double knee pads. Even when I would go back and help out at Beat the Streets or other places, double knee pads. Double knee pads. I fully support it. Double knee pads. Do what you got to do to protect your knees, protect your joints. Yeah, I get it. He even had an elbow pad on. I get it. When you work hard, your joints are going to, right? Even though we're all really young, even still, we're in a tough sport. So our joints might age a little faster. I get it. But hey, you're taking shots, your knees landing on the mat all the time. I know there's people that don't wrestle with knee pads. People wrestle with one knee pad, the knee pad they shoot with. But it's like frowned upon in wrestling wearing double knee pads. But hey, I support it. I'm always going to be the double knee pad guy. I definitely support it. So Kyle, if you're watching this, if you're listening, I definitely support you. Double knee pads. But let's continue now. So the match begins. Kyle got stuck in a front headlock, and then they both kind of got stuck, so the ref made them reset. Second period, Kyle got to a crackdown from bottom and fought through a tough scramble to get his two. Third period, stalemate. They wrestled around, got stuck again. And then somewhere with like a double leg or something, some kind of dump or whatever, Kyle got hurt somehow. I don't know what part of his body was hurting, but he was laying on his back for a bit. He was kind of like favoring. But so some injury time for Kyle. And then they start wrestling again. Kyle was on his back a little bit during the scramble, but he recovered fast enough to where he didn't lose any points. Or my fault, he didn't give up any points. And then it was a tough match. Kyle wound up winning 2-1. Tight match, tough match. But Kyle got it out. It's good. Consi round of 4 versus Van Dovlan Way. That is a weird name. Sorry, bro, if you're listening, but that's a weird name. But first period, they had a flurry, but then they went out of bounds. Injury time for Kyle. Okay, so my mistake. I think the second one... No, that's a different one. So, yeah. Injury time for Kyle again, but it wasn't as bad as the first one. I don't think he was on the ground. So, yeah, it wasn't too long. He was able to recover from that pretty quick. That wasn't too bad. The second period, Kyle's opponent gets another takedown. And then the third period, Kyle was unable to hit a turn on top or get any back points. So... I actually don't know the score of this one because maybe I just forgot to take down the exact score. But Kyle, wound up losing that match, unfortunately. But Kyle wound up placing 8th Asian States. Sometimes you watch matches on flow and the clock disappeared. That's most likely what happened. I watched all these matches yesterday. I'm doing the episode now, so forgive me if I don't exactly remember if or when, but I put the scores down for pretty much all of the matches. So if there's 1 or 2 matches here that I cover that doesn't have the score on it, I'm 99% sure it's because the full camera got messed up. I wouldn't forget to look at the score if it's right in front of me. So the full camera, you guys know, sometimes it acts up sometimes, so the score just goes away when we're watching it. It's that weird thing that happens, but that's why I couldn't get the score for this match. But Kyle, unfortunately, didn't win that match. Ended off the day with a loss, but he wanted to place in 8th at Eastern States. So that's good. And just to clear up, everyone here, with the exception of Evan, everyone here ended up their tournament with a loss. But they all wound up placing. All right? They just didn't win the placement match, but they all got on the podium. So they all performed well. Go back and watch these matches, guys. Even the ones they lost, they all performed well. There's things they did well in every match. So here we go. Amir Avazov, 138, James Madison. Consolation round of 8 versus Joseph Chonambi Yorktown. These last names are kind of hard to pronounce. But I got a unique last name too. If you guys that know me personally, my real last name, not my podcast name, so hey, I guess it takes one to know one. But first period, nice double leg attempt by Amir, then they go out of bounds. And that's pretty much the big thing that happened during the first period. Second period, Amir escapes from bottom after a dogfight. And then Amir, and I wrote it in my notes, Amir is phenomenal. That's just what he is. All right, he's a turning state placer. Then after states, he wound up All-Americaning at Virginia Beach. He's just extremely good. And here's an example. He faked an outside trip and then faked a high crotch. Well, maybe he wanted to hit the high crotch, but it looked like he faked it. He didn't really try to go in. He faked the high crotch after faking an inside trip. And then he kept chasing, got it, and then they were like down, like his opponent was down. They were on the mat. And then he had his legs in the air for a bit. He had to like high leg over, but he got his legs like he was almost vertical in the air. And then put his opponent on his back to get back points at the end of the period. Maybe me reading off my notes just now doesn't do it justice. Go watch the match and go watch that part. You're going to see that part in the second period. Amir's just, he's so technically sound. Like those little things he does. And he's not doing anything crazy. He's just putting a lot of basic techniques that he's really good with. He's putting it all together. That's what he's doing. And it might look advanced, but if you really break it down, he's not doing anything crazy, too fancy. He's doing everything that's effective. That's why he's good. He's a very effective wrestler. So, yeah, he ended the period like that. And then the third period, Amir fought for a double leg, and he got it. Blood time for his opponent. His opponent escaped out of bottom, but Amir hit a nasty headlock. It was nasty. Nasty in a good way. It was very nasty. It was so nasty, like, because his legs didn't even go in the air. His opponent's legs didn't even go in the air. Amir he must be very strong. I've never, like, felt him. I've met him once, but I never, like, got to wrestle with Amir. But he must be extremely strong. And he, like, because he was able to just attack his upper body with that. Didn't even put his hips all the way in. But then he, like, smacked his opponent on the mat, you know, like with the front headlock basically. But he didn't even get his hips all the way in or anything. But he was still able to just smack his opponent on the mat, like just use his body and just put him right down. He like hit the mat. I'm like, wow, that was something. You guys got to see it because the way that happened, man. I guess the torque on his hips maybe. But he didn't even get his hips all the way in. So, I mean, I think it's just like he had the right technique or maybe more strength and technique. But, again, me talking about it doesn't do it justice. You guys got to watch it. But it was great. It was real quick and smooth, too. But his opponent was recovering, though. So they got into a scramble. And then his opponent escaped during that scramble. And then Amir went for a slide by, slipped, but then recovered, hit the knee pick right after to get 2 more points in the final seconds of that match. Amir made his opponent 12-2. And Amir's last match, third place, versus Luke Nieto, plain edge. First period, constant action by both, but nobody scored. But nobody was stalling. Second period, Nieto escapes. Amir gets thrown to his back, but recovers. Amir gets scored on before both wrestlers go out of bounds. Amir gets led up by his opponent, so his opponent cut him. Gets 1 for that, obviously, because they take that as an escape. Then reverses a throw attempt and gets 2 more points. His opponent got those 2 more points. So, all right, here's where the flow thing messed up. So my notes here, it says, you know, Amir gets led by his opponent, gets 1, so he got 1. Then reversed the throw attempt and gets 2. All right, so Amir reversed that throw, got 2 more points. But I couldn't see the flow scorecard. You know, I couldn't see it at all. It disappeared. For Kyle's match, I don't remember if it disappeared or not, but for some reason I didn't write the score down, so that's my mistake. But if you guys go watch that match, that last match with Kyle Jacobs, you'll be able to see how the score was at the end of that match. But for this match here with Amir, yeah, the flow wrestling thing got messed up, so I couldn't see the score. And I didn't go back and forward in the brackets and check because it wasn't acting up in the first period, but it did later on. I don't know why. I could even see when the third period was, honestly. But I believe the third period was based on, how the referee and all that, based on looking at it. The third period is where where Amir got let up by his opponent. That's where that was. But again, Flo has to fix that because that can't keep happening. That's not good, obviously. So I didn't really know what the score was or anything, but the last thing that I took a note of was Amir's headgear was a hindrance. It kept going in his face and all that, and I know exactly how that feels. And Amir was getting frustrated by that. And that kind of hindered. No, it definitely hindered him during the match. I think that if that didn't happen, things would have been a little bit better. I think Amir could have won that. I think the headgear did have something to do with it. I'm not going to make like an excuse or anything, but, if his headgear wasn't in the way, he could see better. So then it would have led him to wrestling just a little bit better. But his headgear was in the way. That's, you can't fault him for that. So he lost that third period match and wound up taking fourth at Asian States. But he performed really well in the matches I watched. Even here, he performed well, but his headgear got in the way. But still an impressive performance overall at the tournament for Amir Avizov. And then we have Tristan Levin, last but not least, Tristan Levin. So he wrestled at 108 for Tottenville. So round of 16 versus Marco Futia, wall kill. Real quick, Marco's older brother, Rocco, state qualifier. Same thing, wrestled at wall kill. He's up at Cortland now. He's killing it. He's doing real well. So shout out to him real quick. But first period, very nice movement from both guys and a very nice front headlock by Tristan. Nobody scored in the first period. Second period, Tristan escapes from bottom. Third period, Futia escapes. Tristan scores off a nice dump. He got that from his brother, Jacob Levin, who also All-American in high school. Well, not also, but Jacob Levin, All-American during his time in high school. I think it was 2021, Virginia Beach. And the dump was like what got him through that tournament. So Tristan obviously takes off his brother with that dump. So he hit the dump. And Marco escaped during a nice scramble that they both had. Close match, tight match. Tristan wins 3-2. Fifth place versus Cullen Edwards, St. Francis. Tristan gets scored on at the end of the first period after a tough scramble. Second period, nice mat return by Tristan. Edwards escapes, then gets two shortly thereafter. Third period, Edwards escapes again. Tristan gets cut, so he didn't get hurt or anything. His opponent cut him. The wrestlers know what I'm talking about. But if you're a new wrestler and you don't know what I mean, basically his opponent put both hands on Tristan's back and made a triangle, and that lets the referee know that he's gonna let his opponent up without him trying to mat return him or anything. So he just gave him a point. That's usually done if the guy on bottom's very good at reversing, or if they felt that they're gonna be mat returning them all day and wasting their energy, they don't want to do that. Or if they just feel they're better on neutral than they are on top. They feel they could get more points and things like that. And from a takedown, and I can tell you, from a takedown, you take your opponent down and you'll land in a position where it's easier to score, than trying to turn them from top. So yeah, their opponent is going to be stronger on bottom, in the bottom position, referee's position, than they would be if you took them down and got them flat right away. So that's the mindset there when people cut people. So Tristan got cut, but he didn't get stuck anywhere or anything. He didn't get taken down right away. But they had a nice flurry, back and forth, right? They're both going for stuff. But Edwards scores again and gets back points. Tristan lost 12-1. Yeah, it's a high-level tournament. Even guys that seem really good, there's probably somebody better. But Tristan wound up placing 6th at Eastern States. So everybody that I looked at, everybody I talked to, all the matches I watched, you guys performed very well. You guys should not be ashamed at all. All right? All the matches I watched and the guys I talked to, the guys I talked about, with the exception of Evan, everybody of the matches I watched, everybody ended off with a loss, right? Zico ended off with a win, but I didn't watch any of his matches. But everybody else, the matches I watched, from Kyle, Christian, Tristan, Amir, Evan, well, not Evan, he's a champ, but Amir, Tristan, and Kyle, and Christian, they ended off with a loss. But they should not be upset by that. They performed very well. You guys wrestled very, very well. And you guys represented New York City wrestling very well, showing that you can do damage at a high-level tournament. So that's very good. So yeah, overall, NYC really did well. Everybody performed very well. No shame in losing at a high-level tournament like this. You guys made sure you fought to get on that podium. Everybody wanted to win, that's right. Congratulations to Evan for becoming the Eastern States champ. Everybody else wanted to win as well. But, yeah, you win some, you lose some. But the way they wrestled, that shows me that everybody here is going to get on that podium again in Albany. And I think Evan is going to go out there and become the state champ based on winning this tournament. And he's returning finalist. I don't see why he can't. Everybody else, I'm going to guarantee, is going to get on the state podium. Everybody. Everybody else here that I talked about, the poly prep guys, you got your prep state tournament, then you got your prep nationals. So I hope you guys are able to go gut it out and All-American and prep nationals. Now, Mayor's Cup is tomorrow. At the time you guys are going to be listening to this, at the time I'm recording this, Mayor's Cup is tomorrow. So I'm not going to do any Mayor's Cup predictions. Mayor's Cup is tomorrow. I'm not going to do it. But I'll do a review, but I'm not going to do any predictions. If Mayor's Cup was like a week away or 2 weeks away, then I would do it. But because it's tomorrow, I'm not going to do that. It doesn't make sense on my end. It doesn't make sense on your guys' end. I don't want to put anything in anyone's head or anything like that. If they listen to this before they got to wrestle the next day, right? Come on, I'm not doing that. Just good luck to everybody competing. And the Mayor's Cup Championships, man, it's a big deal. But I'll get more into that tomorrow after I do the review of the tournament. So yeah, I'm going to do a review after. It won't go out until the next day most likely, but I definitely will do a review. I'll definitely be watching the finals. But yeah, good luck guys tomorrow. Those of you that are competing at Mayor's Cup, and there should be some really good matches to see. Actually, I'm looking forward to Tamir and Kyle because they were both the same weight at Eastern States. That's a finals. I will say that about Mayor's Cup. That's a finals match I want to see. So I hope that it's Kyle Jacobs and Tamir Beg-Sultan in the finals. That should be great. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that match. And in that case, may the best man win. But overall, NYC performed very well. Very, very well. And you guys should not be ashamed if you didn't get gold. Congrats to Evan for getting gold, but you guys that didn't get gold, don't be ashamed at all because you all performed very well. And you represented NYC very well. So, when February comes around, continue this, Build on this momentum until February, and when you get to Albany, get things done. Thank you guys for listening to this episode, this little review here, and good luck at Mayor's Cup tomorrow to everybody competing in NYC. All the NYC wrestlers listen to this, and yeah, just enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care.